All right, are we ready?
Yeah.
I don't know. He's still eating.
Just do it. Send it.
All right, guys. Welcome back to the Raised Hunting Podcast. I'm joined today by Warren and Easton, one who is completely different. That would be
yeah.
Warren is now an official husband.
Yeah. Look at that.
Husband.
Hey, did you guys see my story I put on Raised Hunting?
I did not.
I did a story of you guys.
Nice.
It was an official Raised Hunting wedding.
Oh, yeah.
While you guys were dancing.
I bet they saw the one of my, of the Cybertruck right before that then.
I didn't even see what you put out before it. What'd you put out?
Well, Bruce and I went to a car show before the wedding.
Yeah.
Right there in town just because we needed something to do, you know. The girls have to start getting ready at like 5 a.m.
Yeah.
And so we went to the car show, and some dude had a Cybertruck there, which was pretty cool, actually.
Yeah.
And the bed is
huge.
It's giant. Like, it's kind of funny because that bed is way bigger than most other truck beds.
Yeah.
So I just took a story of it and said, can you imagine a deer in the back of this thing?
It's making people mad?
According to Nick, it is.
Why?
I couldn't even imagine myself in one of those.
Well, then don't buy it. I can't imagine myself in one of those either because I couldn't afford it. But hey.
I remember when double cabs came out.
Yeah.
And that was the same comment that everyone had, including me. I was like, those are stupid. That's the worst looking truck to have two cabs. Doesn't even look like a truck anymore.
Double cab meaning
Meaning you had another door.
Oh,
okay.
You're saying a crew cab.
They started with the suicide door, which opened in reverse.
That's a double cab or an extended
Okay,
cab.
but I'm saying all of that when they first came out, the average dude that drove a truck was like, that's not a truck anymore. Now it looked, because it extended it so much, it looked like a car and then a bed. So
was there not cars?
Was
there not cars with four doors?
Oh yeah, that's what everyone was saying. Was a car is supposed to have four doors, not a truck.
That's the dumbest logic I've ever heard.
Yeah, but when you're just used to it, you've never seen one before, there's never been one out, and it's something new, the first thing is, whoa, wait a minute, that's not what we're used to.
The biggest thing I noticed with it is that stainless steel paneling or whatever, it freaking burns you. Like,
it's hot.
You could have cooked eggs on the hood.
Is it only in one
color? Yeah. But so supposedly, I guess if you're going to do something with it, you got to wrap it or something.
Interesting. That would be easy to wrap, though, because it's all freaking flat and straight.
Yeah.
I could wrap that.
The cab was pretty cool.
It definitely does not look like a truck. It looks like something from
not
space
a
age.
Truck.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, it looks like a
hover.
cyber truck.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like the name of it?
Yeah, I mean, it just looks different.
Yeah.
You know, I guess I don't know how I would describe it. It looks extraterrestrial.
We got to give a big shout out to Grizzly. Oh, yeah, Dad's even got his. Perfect. Check that out. They hooked us up with cups for the wedding. So there's one for Dad, one for Mom, all the groomsmen. You want to know who didn't get one of these?
Who?
Me.
I thought you and her each had one.
She got one.
But she didn't get you one?
No, she's like, well, you'll lose it. And so she got me a cup.
She's
instead.
thinking ahead.
Yeah, I got a cup, too. Wait, all the other groomsmen got those?
Some of them did, I think.
I got a cup.
That's funny.
I don't know. Can't help you guys there.
Yep. So, Grizzly, you guys are my dudes.
Yeah. It was good. It was a good time. It was a lot of work, a lot of effort went into it. Hats off to Alyssa and her sisters, and they did most of the it was quite the wedding.
Planning.
I mean, not just the planning. They did the actual physical painting of roses and other flowered petals and made signs and all kinds of stuff. It was cool. It was pretty impressive.
1,400 flowers.
Yeah.
That's how many she painted.
Did she sell them yet?
No. Actually, they're sitting right over there.
She should sell them.
I agree.
Anyways.
All right.
Onward, donkey.
Okay, so we're going to try to get to a topic here, but before we introduce the topic, Warren, do you have any shout-outs that you need to do? Warren is in the middle of eating a s'more for all of you that cannot see what's
so
going.
good.
What'd you use? The grill? Or not the grill, the
Use the
Burner?
lighter, I'm sure.
Yeah, I just use a lighter.
Just light the marshmallow on fire. and-
Nothing like a half propane tasting marshmallow.
That's what you light. That's what you let it
Or
get on fire.
butane.
Then it tastes completely normal. Shout out to HDFD32. Said, love the Food Plot podcast. Keep coming with the Deer Habitat podcast.
That's good. We're going to talk about that a little bit.
And then on YouTube, David Harrison, 9731, says, Warren, I'm with you. I'm taking on the line, buddy. Love the podcast this week, changing it up a little bit. Y'all got to do a call-ins during the podcast to get other people in it. Love it, guys. That is true. We do need to do that. So
We need
one
to
of them,
figure out whether we do it live or you do it like how we get a lot more people to call in if it didn't have to be like within an hour or something.
What we'd have to do is post a time that we're going to record a podcast, whether that's in an evening so that people are off work or.
Yeah.
okay. It was Northern Hillbilly Adventures, which is Sean Rupsick.
Yep.
And he had a great note. I'm not going to read the whole thing here because we need to get going. But he says, I was laughing most of the time, from the bickering, the name-calling, the funny stories, to picking a grizzly bear that can kill you with one swipe over a mountain lion that has literally only killed 29 people since 1868.
I didn't pick a lion.
Yeah,
you
you
picked
did. We both
picked
did.
grizzlies.
I picked a grizzly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we're saying is you guys are statistically not very wise. You
Well, the whole thing
increased
isn't
your
based
odds of
on
dying.
statistics, dang-a-lang. The
What?
whole reason is those two things, no matter what, is going to try to kill you. It's not about whether they have in the past. So, yeah, I'm taking a bear. I don't care what old Sean says.
The other one that was pretty funny was Jake DeLee had a pretty good one. I got to give him props on this one. He said, good podcast topic, but I have a good one. 2 identical properties, both 1,000 acres. One has loads of pictures, 170 to 180 plus inch bucks. The other one has had 80-inch sheds found on it, the 3 of the last 4 years in a row. Which property are you buying? And Warren, why are you buying the one with the 80-inch sheds?
I was just going to say that's not even a good one for Warren. He's just going to go 80-inch sheds.
Yeah.
And then sell it the next year if you couldn't find him during.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
This is dumb. I'm done.
That was pretty good. We gotta give you some props there, Jake.
That
That
was
was
good.
pretty funny. I got a good chuckle out of that one.
Yep. He's a smart man. He's been listening intently.
We've got the Garrett Pape story today. He's been waiting so patiently.
Yes, he has.
He's a good man.
I know which one right there.
Yep. He
There's
has two.
Garrett's.
He has 2 on there. Can you identify the second, Warren?
Oh, right there.
Boom, boom. That's a freaking cool deer.
That one's got a humongous head on him.
So as much as I appreciate this story, because I read the whole freaking thing pretty intricately and I was in on it, I'm not going to read the whole thing because I'm a slow reader, and it's a pretty long story, which makes it going to be an extra long story with me reading it. So I'm going to attempt to summarize as I read it, which is going to probably be pretty bad. So sorry, Garrett, but we'll give her a go, eh? All right, and he sent this to me. Funny, actually. He sent us the one that I have on the paper and then realized after we started reading them, oh, I could send like a full story about it. I was like, yeah, that was the whole point. And so he messaged me and sent me a whole new one, a whole freaking brand new story. My deer season of 2022 to 2023, I got permission to hunt a new property, and I started using the one and only raised scents. It was October and beginning of November, and I had 2 very large deer show up on camera. One of them was a 10-pointer, and the other one was an 8-pointer. The 8-pointer was called Basket Case. It's pretty creative. The other one was called 10-4. That's also another good one. So the 10-pointer showed up an hour after I left Thanksgiving morning. So he's hunting that morning, and he left, and the freaking deer shows up. And at the end of the season, the 8-pointer came out and gave me a shot at 30 yards, but he already was shedded on his right side from the 23 and 24 season. So he had both these deer show up within shooting distance in times that I guess unless he wanted to go find the shed and reattach it, which that would have been a freaking task and a half. He said, I knew they lived from the season prior because I had them on camera through the rest of the winter. October 28th, I got the first picture of the 8-pointer Basket Case and couldn't believe how much bigger he had gotten and grown from the past year. I also had a trail camera picture of 10-4 at 2 in the morning. I laughed when I saw the picture because I knew I was going to spend the rest of the season once again trying to kill the deer that was so very hard to kill last year. Garrett is also in the military, so he's a veteran. You the man. We appreciate you. And he has to travel quite a bit, obviously. Oh, dang, I just lost it. There it is. November 11th rolls around. I make sure that day, no matter what the weather is, that he was going to be in the stand. He does it every year. This year I wasn't able to do that. I was hunting in the morning and then received a phone call from a very good friend who had shot a buck and needed help tracking it. He asked me if I could bring my dog so they could go find it. So I go over, spend the rest of the day to the late morning and early afternoon tracking and finding this deer, which we did find thanks to my dog. That's pretty cool. I'd be curious to see what kind of dog he has. So on November 12th, I went out in the morning just saw a lot of small bucks and does. Had a bunch of things going on in the afternoon, so I wasn't able to go back out. Around 4:15 in the afternoon, I looked over my left shoulder and noticed that I had 2 does standing there feeding on acorns. I looked at the one; she was a very good size, and said, "Hey, might as well let an arrow fly." So I was preparing to shoot in my safety harness, got stuck on the bark of the tree, probably a shag bark is what I'm suspecting, where it spooked the 2 deer. Now I was mad at myself for messing up the opportunity. In my mind, I think we're all here, I'm thinking that running off just scared everything that was anywhere near us in the entire county. It was coming, it's 4:30. Now it's 4:30. I have 30 minutes of legal shooting light left, and the bubble guts kick in. I was laughing. So have you ever heard somebody call it bubble guts?
No, but I totally know what he means.
Freaking, I did too. The bubble guts kick in. So I start playing a game on my phone. And it was probably 4:35. I could hear movement coming diagonally left in front of me, thinking to myself, okay, the 2 does are coming back. But this deer was not walking normal. It was taking a few steps, and then it would stop, keep going, and I keep hearing it, and it keeps getting a little bit closer and a little bit closer. But I still can't see it because the brush is so thick. I'm standing there looking in the direction where I hear him walking, and he comes around a huge pine tree and steps over a stone wall, and my jaw just dropped. I saw his antlers, but the body is what I kept focusing on because I've never seen a deer that big alive walking now 25 yards to my left and downwind. I drew back my pin on him and let the arrow fly. When I heard it, it sounded great. The deer turned hard right, and then I watched the arrow fall off of the opposite side on the ground and the lighted knock. I could see my lighted knock. Thought, oh no, I just screwed up. I can hear the deer run, and it sounded like a train going through the woods, and I heard him crash a few seconds later. I started shaking. Oh, here it was. I had just shot my biggest deer, and I was about to crap my pants because of my bubble guts. I immediately had to call my wife and tell her I just shot a really, really big deer. And I told her I would call her when I got down out of the stand and try to get a hold of her. I'm friends with the landowner who I'm allowed to hunt with, and I go home or go to their place and knock on their door, and he says, "What's wrong with you? Your eyes are huge." I told him I think I just shot the biggest deer of my life. I don't know what it is yet. I haven't found it yet, but I need to use your bathroom. So after I take care of business, I go outside to go get my backpack and realize I don't have my headlamp or anything. So I'm going in dark. The only light I have is on my cell phone. So I get to where I find my arrow that fell out of the deer and realized it was broken, but I had blood all the way up to the fletchings, and that reassured me that I had hit him good and immediately find blood. And it was a very good blood trail as well. There wasn't a doubt in my mind that I hit this deer good, and the closer we got, the more sure I was. It looked like somebody had just took a bucket of paint and started throwing blood on the ground. When I raised up my phone for light, when he was laying down on his right side with his butt towards me, I could not get over the size of his body. I walked up to the head and put my hands on him. His head turned his head and turned it towards me and started to count, and then immediately dropped his head and started to shake. I had killed my number 1 buck. I had just killed a deer that I had saw a year ago and could never seal the deal. I called my wife and told her that I had just shot 10-4, and I had so much emotion, and I was crying that she couldn't understand me on the phone. So I just said, "I'll see you when I get home." So, here, he did put it in there. So there's a lot more after that, but that was like the main portion of the story. Ended up going 200 pounds.
Dressed
the deer weighed an even 200 pounds, dressed out.
That's a big deer.
I caped him right out there the next day. Yep. So 200 pounds dressed. He went 10-pointer came in at 149 and 4/8. That's a freaking big deer.
Mm-hmm. Especially for the East Coast.
Oh no, he said. So it's been 2024, and with Common Core, I figured it's okay to just say it's 150 inches. You can't do. I don't know what you mean by it's common. Probably just saying that you can just give him the extra 4/8. No, because if that's the case, then Warren gets to say he's killed a 190-inch deer, and he is only an eighth off. So we're holding him to
I
it.
think 2/8.
No, he's
No,
one.
it was an eighth.
It was
You were
189
pissed,
and
yes.
7/8.
Yes.
What can you give me one more eighth?
Common Core math, I think, was the
Common
method
courtesy.
No, it was how they were teaching it in school. It was called Common Core.
Oh, you round up.
I don't know. I just know that the method of whatever it was called Common Core, like the teaching method.
Interesting. Well, you can round up to whatever you like, Garrett. Whether it's 149 or 150, it's a freaking stud. But I know that you killed 149 and 4/8-inch deer, not 150.
Here's my other 2/8.
Yeah, you needed 1/8. You only needed one.
This is antler ring in there.
Yeah, that would have done it. All right.
Okay, well then I'm way over.
Okay, whatever,
That's what I
Warren.
got for you for not giving my 8.
So that's cool. Garrett's done something that I haven't even really done yet, and that's like hunting, having that kind of a story with a lot of deer, or with a deer or a couple deer, and then getting the opportunity to
Shoot
close
that deer.
Or
That
having
is
to go
cool.
to your landowner's house and take a shit.
I have a feeling that's definitely been in my life.
Especially if you drink some milk.
Yeah. And if I mix in bubble guts with that and it's turkey season, I ain't making it to the landowner's house. I'm going to the bushes.
Must know that landowner pretty well to go there.
He
And
said
ask,
they're pretty good friends. He's been hunting there a long time.
I guess.
That's funny. That's funny.
The bubble guts and, sorry, man, I got to use your bathroom. It just goes by him and says, let me take care of business. That was
funny.
the best parts.
Cool.
All right.
All right. Well, let's get started. What we're going to talk about today is kind of where we're at this time of year. We've been doing quite a bit of stuff to get ready, and there's a few changes going on in Iowa. We're going to touch base on those. So
Rumors.
we can't find the actual law, but there's been a couple other podcasts or a couple other news networks or whatever you call them that have posted that has been voted on and agreed upon. So we're gonna say that our opinion is we think it is happening, but we don't know for sure. But we may talk about it.
Well,
Fair
let's
enough?
just get that one out of the way real quick because it's not going to be super long.
All right. Well, there was 2 or 3 things on there. One was there was a bill that I don't know on that one whether it passed to eliminate party hunting, meaning, and for those of you that aren't familiar with Iowa's
Correction. That wasn't party hunting.
Non-resident.
It
party
was-
hunting.
non-resident
Yes.
party hunting. Okay. Well, I was getting ready to clarify that.
Okay.
Was that a non-resident could come and partake in the party hunting, meaning they could buy a doe tag, which was a guaranteed tag, as long as there was doe tags available. And then by doing that, if, say, one of us has a buck tag, they could come and be a part of our hunt and kill a buck.
Yep.
As long as we didn't shoot one too.
Yeah, I mean, only
They can
one.
you can basically use each other's tags as long as you have a valid tag in your pocket as well.
Correct. And so it was put forth this year that they would do away with that, do away with the non-resident portion of it. Party hunting would still be allowed in Iowa amongst residents, but you would not be able to partake in it as a non-resident.
I mean, I don't have a whole heck of a lot of opinion on that one, simply because I have opinions on all of it, but I don't have opinions on. I think the most that's going to do, that one specifically, as long as it goes through, is it's going to affect the outfitters more than it's going to affect anybody. Because in my opinion, I mean, I only know very few amount of people that are coming in large groups, or like the more I see is like family. That's what they do, is they shotgun hunt together, and when they have a couple family members or something that have moved away or something, that they're coming back and they can still hunt, or outfitters can guarantee like, hey, if you're willing to use a shotgun, we can get you a tag.
Which are technically not supposed to do that.
Yeah, well, as long as they're not taking money for it, but
Right.
right, that's what it is. Like, you can't sell your tag.
Yeah, and then
it's definitely-
whoever's tag that they're utilizing is supposed to be sitting with them
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
or
is
be
they,
with them.
they have a
I was
way
going
to
to say
get the tag.
that's the whole thing that I've never liked about it is there's a lot of ambiguity to it, meaning there is
Gray area.
it's not black and white. So, because I've heard the argument, can Bill, who is the landowner, let's say, who owns a license that's to kill a buck or a doe in Iowa, can he be sitting in his house if Joe, who comes to visit, is relative or not a relative, walks 150 yards outside in the cornfield and sits down out there? Is that still, are you together?
From what I understand, no.
Yeah, I've always taken it as like you got to be literally right with each other, but at the same time, I know that party hunting is not together.
And
I mean,
okay,
you're in a group, but like
yeah, but you could be one of the standers,
Yeah.
and the drivers are a quarter mile away. So now that 150 yards is now 1,500 yards.
there's a lot
and
of gray area.
You start to walk, and this dude shoots, and you're way farther away than what you are. So I don't. There's a lot of gray area to it, and
Do we know, would they still be able to get a doe tag though? Like, could they still go with the group and they can't shoot anybody else's tag, but they could fill their doe tag?
I'd be willing to bet they'll take the. We don't know, because we can't find enough info on it. So that's why we're saying it's all speculative. But I would say I wouldn't think that they would allow that, because then you're still. How in the world are you going to enforce that?
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't.
Because if they're going to go
I
party
guess so,
hunt,
but at the same time, if they're trying to say if people truly want to just go and partake, that they still have the ability to do that, but they can only be filling their tags that they're supposed to.
I don't know. I would think that if that even passes in the first place, that it's going to have to be a all draw.
you either
Like you can't
draw
you're
a
not
buck
going to get a
tag.
doe tag.
But I don't know. I agree with Warren. I mean, I could see them saying, yeah, we would let them still come kill a doe, but they can't be one that shoots the buck.
Right.
But that would be very difficult to enforce.
Yep.
Especially with the previous laws, that's how everybody hunts. With them they can use a doe tag
Right.
and do whatever. Anyways, I'm interested to see this stuff if it comes through or not, so that we can we could print out the whole spiel or the whole bill,
Right.
and go over it. But the other one that I found very intriguing was the trail camera section. I guess it wasn't even just trail cameras, it was just equipment in general, which I will say, what they were saying is that you're not allowed to be leaving anything on public ground except for a tree stand overnight. So that's trail cameras or
No ground blinds.
no blinds, whatever, any equipment that you would be leaving out there except for a tree stand, which when I went and did that job shadow with the DNR, I am quite certain that was a law. Maybe they just changed it. You couldn't have a stand up back then either. You could not leave your stands overnight, or maybe it was like a month or something. Because I remember they were having to go pull them down.
Yeah, I think it's X amount of time before.
I think that's what it is too. But anyways, I think that one, Warren has discussed it, mainly being trail cameras. If they could pull trail cameras out, there's no cell cams out there. There's no trail cameras out there. And what do you think that would?
I'd say if they do that, then don't you any suckers go follow me around. I'm probably going to be hunting all public. I'm going to give it 2 years, and I'm going public because there's going to be bigger deer there than there's going to be on private. And I would stand by that. But it's going to require a whole lot more work to kill them. Because I think now is what you're going to have happen is instead of these deer that there's 10 guys that have a photo of them, and when they're 145-inch 3-year-old or 50-inch 3-year-old, you're going to get some more bucks that are going to slip through the cracks.
For sure.
Because people don't know, and they don't have the time to go. Because now that means that your scouting has to be physically present.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be spending a lot of time trying to find those bucks in the summer and know what's there and in the stand. And then you're going to have to be really patient. So a lot of guys, you're probably going to end up with a big gap, if I had to guess. You're going to have quite a few deer that are really young getting killed. And then you're going to have some of these that figure it out and they get smarter that go through. You're probably not going to have a huge
In between.
Yeah, if I had to guess. Because some of those deer before, now the guy who was waiting on the 160 because he knew that he was there, he's probably shooting that 145.
Yeah.
So I think that if that happens, I think you're going to see some. I think that is the biggest indicator, or not the indicator. I think that's the biggest driving factor of the quality of deer in Iowa right now is cell cams. I think the cell cams is the number one reason that our deer aren't as big as they used to be.
I don't know if
That's
it's
a
the only
statement I
reason.
have to
Yeah,
make,
I don't know that
but
I
I'm-
could go that far because I think there's other driving forces. I think it's a contributor 100%.
I'm not in
I think
disagreement, but I do think that is a You're out on a limb on that one, son.
Well, go look at when our deer started going down, meaning
we're not seeing the same quality as many. We don't have
Even
the quantity of quality deer.
even
that
when
we
you
used
went to
That was
the
good.
yes, even when you went to the Deer Classic 5 to 6 years ago, there was always, like, if you were on the archery leaderboard, if you weren't in the 220s net, not gross, 220s net, you were not in the top 5.
Yeah, they're killing some
I mean,
freaking
and
toads.
now it's
Granted, but like Mitch's,
210.
What did Mitch's do? Third or first?
Yeah, but his was typical.
Yeah, his was a
Yeah,
typical.
but I'm just
And
saying that's a
muzzleloader.
big deer. Yeah, you'd think there'd be quite a few muzzleloader.
No, way
But
less.
his netted 172.
No, 170 0.8s.
Oh yeah, even 170.
Yeah.
Wow. He was
his-
175 gross and then 170.
And
Even
0.8s
his, yeah.
because he broke off. He even had a split brow. That's what
And-
we were saying, that
if he'd had
God
that,
likes Mitch because
yeah.
he broke that off so perfectly even that it didn't even
Count
make an
against him.
inch. Yeah, and he made it with 0.8s flat.
Yeah, but that one did. What did it do? It's third or first place. I couldn't remember.
I think
what
It was.
I thought it was first.
I think it was first for muzzleloader,
for
Yeah.
muzzle. Yeah,
but your
Muzzleloader.
typical was probably still in the archery.
Well, the archery typical one was somewhere over 200 net, I think.
I don't know.
Or 190 or something. I can't remember. Anyways,
Well, I guess. I mean, there's a lot to that trail camera thing. I mean, number one, they start there. I read some comments and people were like, "Well, it's not really fair that they would ban trail cameras on public ground and not ban them on public ground. I mean, on private ground."
what?
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of people complaining that why let the landowner be able to continue to put cameras out on his own place when
Because he owns it and it's his
and that's
land.
my whole thing is that you're going to have a hard time policing that when someone owns the ground.
You don't have the right to police that land, as much as they still do. Like they have way too much power over the land that you actually own, and you're going to tell me that you can't freaking put a camera? It should go the same as public ground. Public ground is for everybody. It's totally different.
Well,
when I've put in the money, the work, everything
Hold
else,
on.
I own the
Hold
land.
on.
the
though.
animal is a state resource.
Yeah, but it's not about the animal. It's you're telling me I can't do something on my property.
well,
If it's going to affect the animals for everybody, yes.
How do you? No.
So
No
then,
freaking
so then why
way.
shouldn't you be able
why
to
is
shoot
there
as many deer as
seasons?
you
Yeah,
want?
why is there even a season on deer? You're saying that
To control it.
right, but what you're saying is I should be able to kill whatever I want to whenever
No,
I
I'm
want
not
to on my
saying
own
to.
property.
I'm saying they already do enough. Saying you can only do this, that, and the other on your own land. And I'm talking whether it's hunting or whether you live in town and they go digging through your yard without asking you because they own everything, whether you own it or not. That's my point. Is that you own the land, but they'll go do whatever they want to the land. And now you're going to stay okay. Since we made this on public land that you can't use a trail camera, now anybody who has private land can't use a trail camera. That is a double standard and a half.
Hold on. Back up. Because so here's my 2 cents, and I think you guys already know this, but maybe I'm going to clarify it so that the general public will know this. If your statement is correct, and the statement that you made was that cellular cameras are leading to the fact that we don't have the same quality deer that we used to have. We don't have the quantity of quality deer that we used to have. Cellular cameras, I won't say that they are the leading contributor because I have belief that there's other things involved. But my point is that if they we're losing some of the habitat that we've had, we have deer numbers that are too high, which is taking the quality of the entire deer herd down some. And I think we've got an increase in hunters in some of the areas that we hunt, where the deer don't get the chance to get to the same age. We have less deer getting to that 5-year-old age. So those are some of the contributing factors I think that also cycle into that. But my point would be is if cellular cameras are making a significant difference in the quality of the animals that are out there, then I would be, and I'm a landowner, I would be in favor of saying statewide no more. No more cellular cameras. You can use a trail camera, you can go get a picture of it, but it's not going to be real time anymore. You're going to have to figure out when you're going to hunt, just like we've had to do forever. This cellular camera thing has only been 5 years, maybe maybe 6 or 7, something like that. Where I mean,
Probably 6 or 7, affordable to the average guy for 3 to 4, probably.
yeah, maybe something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, but you're telling me.
So you
What
would you
about all the
support
other
no
parts?
cameras?
I would not support it. Yeah, I mean, I mean, if they wanted to go absolutely no cameras at all, for someone like me, I mean,
It would
because
drive you up a wall.
no,
Just
it
say
wouldn't.
it.
No, it wouldn't. Absolutely wouldn't.
Well,
What would you do?
Hold on. It may
Hold on.
it may drive you up. You may miss the fact that you don't get to do it anymore.
But
That doesn't mean
but,
that you don't that you disagree with the foundation of why they are making you do
That's an
Correct.
accurate statement.
Okay, and I would say that what I would lose, I would gain something back, something that I have had
Quality.
before, and that well, not only the quality, but the sitting in a tree and not having an expectation,
The unknown.
not knowing of what is going to walk out next. And I do think that because we've gotten so used to knowing, we have a good idea what is here, what's not here, we are more effective for sure. And therefore, we're waiting on deer. You know, a certain deer shows up, you would shoot that. I mean, your heart gets pounding. Here he comes. This is a good deer. Oh, crap. It's a young deer. It's not the deer that I want, you know. And now, if I don't have any kind of history with that, I would probably shoot that deer. I know that many years ago I would have shot that deer. That was when I grew up hunting, that's the way I grew up hunting was I think there's good deer here. I've either seen them or I've scouted. I'm driving around looking through binoculars and the spotting scope. And so, yeah, I mean, there's something to be said for that, man. It makes hunting freaking.
This is what I will put my case on here.
Okay.
If you're going to tell me that it's okay to say that you can't put trail cameras on public land and that means that it should be the same for private, then you better start going into every other thing that they're saying you can't do on public either. Access times, you can't leave a tree stand, you can't leave a blind. Better not be able to go put a blind out on your own property and leave it.
Well, that was something that I wanted to address. That the part of the blind, if they're going to allow you to leave a tree stand, and I'm sure what they're looking at is how difficult a tree stand is to hang or to take down. So they're saying, oh, well, we won't make them take their tree stands down. Blinds and tree stands are the same thing. It's something to hide you from. I mean, in my opinion, I don't know why they would have gone to that equipment part.
I think that's easy. I think I can tell you the difference in that. So let's think about this here. Trail cameras are going to affect human behavior, right? Like, guy gets a picture of a 180-inch deer, and then another dude gets a picture of a 180-inch deer, and then another dude gets a picture of a 180-inch deer, and they can all go hunt the same place because it's public. You're going to have a lot of dudes in that same place, right?
For sure.
So you have to keep that in mind, where on private, you may not have that if you own enough ground or unless your neighbor is also running cameras or whatever it may be. But then at the same time, now what you got to keep in mind is when it's on private, you don't have to worry about wherever you're going to go because you're the one that's dictating who's on that property and who's not on that property. If I'm on public and I want to be an a-hole, what keeps me from going and buying 4 or 5 of the cheapest blinds I can find on Facebook Marketplace and sticking them on every freaking corner of a field that I can?
Or building some stuff that looks like crap.
Yes, or trying to build something or trying to do anything I can to keep everybody else, hoping that they're maybe respectful hunters and being like, oh, well, I don't want to go sit right here because I want to try not to be in this guy's grill.
Right.
You're going to have issues. And I think that's what you got to keep in mind. The biggest difference on your public and your private is anybody can go on the public because the private's controlled. I think that the difference with the trail cameras and everything else is that the trail cameras is going to have a direct effect on the outcome of the resource. You have to look at the deer as the animals as a resource of the state, of the people, of the earth, however you want to state it, that is being directly affected by those cameras and that information and those pictures, where the stands may not necessarily, that affects the people more than it affects the deer. Does that make any sense?
But I'm just throwing out the fact they're limiting what you can and can't do, and that should be, if that should correlate in the other ways, there shouldn't be a gray area. It should be, if you're going to limit it there and you want to say it's got to be limited on private too, then it all needs to be limited there too.
So you don't think that there's that factors influence what makes sense?
Yeah, I do. That's why I'm saying it makes zero sense to say that a trail camera on public and everything, or whatever they're doing, for the same a lot of the reasons you're saying, that when a lot of things could be happening, as far as multiple dudes find life-changing size deer, or there's dudes, I don't know. I honestly don't see what the huge deal is with putting trail cameras on public ground either. I'm in favor of not having it because I have a different theory on that doesn't even relate to what we're arguing about right now. But no, I don't think the factors play in. I think the factor that plays into it is that one is everybody can hunt it, and one, the person who has the money that could buy it can hunt it. Let them freaking put a camera out there if they want to put a camera out there.
Well, I think the biggest thing that I think you'd have to determine is, what is the state's goal? Is the state's goal to kill as many deer as possible and keep the numbers in check? Or is it to try to provide a experience where people can come here and chase quality deer? What is that? Because then I think if that's the goal, I think that can't be applied to just public, because public's only 2% of the whole state. So clearly you're going to have to make that apply to the other 98% if you think that the cameras are having an outcome on the quality of the deer. What's your other theory?
My other thing I was going to say that it'll piss a lot of people off, which is fine. But public, and I'm not very old, so I haven't got to see like 25 years ago how it was on public ground. But I do remember when we were just moving to Iowa and stuff, we could go to public places, or like when me and you, we've turkey hunted some and gone and shed hunted some and whatever else. It just wasn't common to run into people that often, or see that many people. You'd see a stand here and there, or what kind of thing, or maybe run past a camera or whatever. But now, we've been here for 12 years. You go to a public piece, there's almost always a vehicle in it, mainly during the hunting season. There's almost always a vehicle in the parking spot. If you go out anywhere on there, you're going to find stands all over. And you're also going to find, I couldn't tell you how many cameras I walked by on some of the public deer I've tracked for people. It's absurd. And I seriously think that the whole thing about go hunt public because private's cheating and private's not fair and all this crap has completely destroyed public hunting and made it extremely difficult. Guys are still doing it, and they're doing it really, really well. But I think that it has totally become an uneven, or I guess what's the right word?
A trend?
It's a massive trend, and number two, it ruins it. Like, it flat out ruins it. I'm not talking quality of deer or anything. I'm talking for the fact that dudes could actually go out and find a little chunk of public that nobody knows about. And he could get in there and he could go hunt and stuff. Now, you ain't doing it now. I mean, you're going to run into people left and right. And so that's why I'm going to take private, because I'm going to knock on doors. Or I'm going to keep working, doing what I can to make money to try to freaking buy 10 acres or something over going to hunt public, because I don't care to deal with it. And I really think that if you started pulling trail cameras out and started limiting what they were doing on some of this public stuff, guys are going to want to have a little more freedom, or they're going to want to be able to do some of these things. So then they're going to go maybe start knocking on doors again and see if they can go find some places. Or maybe some guys are just not going to go hunt. I don't know, because they can't see the deer. I don't know what they would end up doing, because I don't think they're just going to go away. But I think that it would actually help the average dude going to public pieces. Also keeping people out of the land as much as possible. They're not going in to check cameras all the time or every other week or whatever they're doing. Cell cams have helped with that as well, but then they're still getting the information. So I think that, like, public is one of my biggest pet peeves right now, because if you kill a deer on public, you're 10 times better of a hunter than anybody else, no matter what you've done. And I think that's horse crap, like no other.
Okay. Well,
I would like to see it come back, though.
I have a couple comments, because I want to go back to your comment on the blinds when you say the blind takes up spot on the corners of the field, and then that way no one else can hunt the field. You could do the same thing with tree stands. You put a stand if there's trees there and someone see it, doesn't, I don't want to mess with this guy. He's already got a stand here. So the guy hangs stands all over so that nobody hunts there.
I thought it said stands too.
No.
It specifically said except for tree stands.
And that's what I didn't understand.
I would think that's got to be because they do understand the workload that it can be if you're not doing the mobile hunting thing, that even if you are doing the mobile hunting thing, it can still be a lot of work. But that it's
that's what doesn't make
significantly
sense.
more work.
That's so popular, the mobile hunting. You would think that they would be okay with saying,
Yeah,
no,
well, maybe
no stands, you know?
maybe the 65-year-old guy that can only get in a ladder stand, they don't want to make sure that he can still go
Yeah, that's fair.
if he's got a bad leg or
Yeah.
something. And
For sure.
But that's where my argument would be that the dude that's afraid of heights has to pack his blind in and out every day because he can't get up in a tree. That's not fair. You know, this dude can leave his stand, but this dude has to haul his double bull blind to the.
Well, at some point, you're going to run into stuff where it's not going
Right.
to fit for everybody anyways.
Well, so
I think that overall it's good
Well, I think it would
for
help.
for public grounds, but
well, and
What's your
so
thoughts?
my thought too is on the trail camera issue. Let's talk about like who does that benefit the most? Because there's a benefit and there's a cost, if that's what you want to call it, to like a non-resident. So think about it. A non-resident could come here in July prior to this law coming into and place some cellular cameras, and he's even the playing field to some degree, as long as no one messes with his cameras on public ground, that he could now know what deer are there, the same as us living there. You know, it kind of evened that out. However, if you take that away, he doesn't get that. But also, I do think that more deer are going to make it. I think the area that he's hunting is going to get better. But for the non-resident or the guy that lives further away from that piece of public ground, it becomes more difficult because you're going to have to legwork, meaning could be driving. It's going to cost more to do it, but the quality is going to be better because of that.
so maybe it won't. Maybe for that guy, it might not affect him at all, because now instead of there being one deer that is 150 inches on 100 acres,
That everybody knows about.
there's 4.
Right.
So it doesn't. I think the guys that it's going to benefit is a Brook Martin. Is
The guys that,
the
have
guys
put
that
in
know
work.
what they're doing and they're working hard. They are going to go from killing big deer to killing flipping slammers, and then your guys that aren't willing to put in that much work they're not going to like it very much, and they're going to be really irritated about it, and they're going to be pissed about it, and they're going to be at a disadvantage because they're just not as good a hunter as someone like Brooke, or they just too aren't willing to put in the same amount of work, and it's going to bite them. That'll be the I think the thing that to me that would be really interesting if this whole thing goes through is I think that you're going to see nobody is going to get away with trying to put a trail camera on there, because now is what's going to go on is guys are going to be really pissed when they
see
walk
somebody
in and see
else's.
somebody else is trying to run a camera, and they're going to destroy it.
Or they're
Or
turning
they'll
in.
steal it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, just
Not saying that that's
Right.
what you should do, but I can just tell you that's what's going to happen.
Well, what you were saying, too, the other thing to think about is not to be brash here, too, but it's not the rule or the laws and regulations and everything that are being placed in, I mean, it could be any state. They should not be placed to cater to the non-resident.
no, I'm not saying that. I'm just
So, I mean, no offense, but who cares what the non-resident thinks? I mean, I know it helps them being able to have a cell cam, this, that, or whatever, to be able to come hunt other places and things like that. But when you boil it all down, each state is trying to do what's best for their state. So if it's going to hurt somebody that's out of the state, well, that's not our issue. They need to figure their deer out over there or something and then come hunt them, or use the people that are here already, like an outfitter or things like that, or a friend that knows what's going on or can do some research for you or something. It's more difficult, yeah, but it's not about, I guess.
I don't think it would hurt them. I think that they're going to have the opportunity
they're
to
still
kill
gonna have
just
a great
as big
deer.
a deer, if not a better deer.
I think I seriously think the biggest people that would be affected are the people that are consistently hunting public land is going to be very good. Like, I think it's going to help. The people that are probably going to be the most upset about some of these laws are going to be the ones that it helps the most with deer and their hunts and things like that.
What do you think? So let's just say that they take all cameras.
from everyone
No, on
or
public. Cameras just go away on public. Right now, let's just say 1,000-acre piece. This is going to be super hard. But how many deer do you think are getting killed off that?
How are we even supposed to guess that?
I don't. The
I
state.
have no
mean-
idea.
Let's just say archery season. Let's say you think one dude kills a deer every week during bow season?
On that 1,000-acre piece you're talking about?
Yeah.
I depend.
I would think
mean,
so. I'm thinking of like some of the places that we're more familiar with. I'm
well,
thinking some of the more popular ones. Like, yeah, I would think somebody's killing one a week,
So do you think
whether it's a doe or buck or.
do you think that the total number of deer getting killed would go down, or just the type of deer or size of deer would go down, or would it not even change?
I think it'll go. I think the amount of deer being killed on public will skyrocket.
but that's going to be
Younger deer.
Younger
And I
deer
guess
and-
I won't even say skyrocket. I think it will jump, simply for the fact that I think that that's going to, one, cause people not being in the public land as much. Two, it may dwindle down some of the people that are hunting certain ones, or maybe they're cycling through other ones more to try to see if they can find something that they're looking for, whatever. And all of these things that are going to require people to not be able to go do stuff or do things on the land, I think is going to make it where the deer are going to be, you're going to have more numbers of deer on the land, or coming to the public, or feeling more comfortable on the public, which in turn, you're going to have more opportunities.
I definitely think it's going to cut your numbers of people down.
Your numbers of people or hunters?
Yeah,
Yeah, I would think so too.
because
For sure.
there's going to be quite a few that don't want to have to
Yeah.
abide by those things.
Yep.
And maybe that's their goal. With
It would be interesting to see how the other, like Arizona, states that enacted this a while back, to see what did they see. Did they see an increase or a decrease of hunters? Did they see an increase or a decrease of killing? You know, were the guys that stuck it in there, were they commenting that my hunt was better?
Well, were they?
You know.
They're still that way, aren't they?
Yeah.
So
There's
obviously it helped something, because otherwise they would have reverted it, I would think.
There's just quite a bit different scenario, though.
It is.
Yeah.
For sure. But I mean, it would be some information. I'm trying to remember. I thought that this was it just cellular cameras that they're banning,
No,
or it was
it
trail
was just
cameras?
Trail cameras.
It was trail cameras, I believe.
Yeah.
There'd be no leaving them. Couldn't leave. I guess you could put it out during the day when you're hunting, right? And you could pull
If
it
you're
when
not
you
leaving
leave.
it, yeah.
I would bet you. I would be willing to say if that happens, the biggest deer in the state every year will come off public. That's my test.
He's
guess.
on some serious notions today.
Dude, I just think about it.
I think it's gonna
Some of those deer that are going to get through there, that are going to slip those cracks, are going to be freaking giants. And then nobody has if once those deer figure the people out, like we've had them do, and you have no cameras to help you do it, some of them may not be really killable. Like they're going to have the wrong doe that really messes them up, and before they get killed, and they're going to be some slob knockers.
Well, it's an interesting discussion, faux show. And my whole thing is, like I said, I understand, I think, what the state is trying to do. You know, I feel like that they are trying to bring it back to not so technology reliant, or how would you say that? But
I think it's stemming from them trying to keep people under control. That's what I think it's coming from. Like that there's just too many people and too many conflicts on public now.
and who knows, maybe they're dealing with a whole bunch of, they're taking a bunch more calls on people tearing up cameras and things like that already.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know either. But I think that if someone was to put it to me, I would think I would probably, even though it would definitely, I partake in it without a doubt on using cameras. Now, I'm not a huge cell camera user. I have one or two, and it's got to be a perfect scenario, and it wouldn't bother me one bit to never use it again. But there's a benefit to it, and when you're out there and everyone is doing it and everything is involved in it, it definitely, you look at it and go, wow, this could really help in this scenario. Maybe I would do that. But at the same time, part of me, without a doubt, is like, do I really want to do this? This seems like I'm going too far.
I think you're going to have a hard time ever seeing cell cams completely get taken away, because there's some companies that are doing enough revenue now that they're going to have lobbyists and stuff.
For sure.
I mean, because some of them, because the thing you got to keep in mind with cell cams is they're not just making money on the sale. They're making money on those subscriptions on the data.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it could be interesting.
Well, that went a lot longer than anticipated on that one topic.
That's okay.
Yeah, and I'm just saying.
It's an interesting one. I would love to see an Iowa world again with no cameras. Just because it would be like a Jack in the Box every morning.
I definitely am defending the freedom of what you do on private, but I think that if it came to a vote as far as like it just outlaw cameras altogether, I'd probably be in favor of it because I'd want to see what it's like. I just really don't like the fact that you're comparing public, and not you, but like putting public next to private and saying, hey, what we do on this, you have to do on this too. That does not sit right with me. But clearly.
I would love to see Iowa with no cameras again.
Yeah.
Even if it didn't change the quality that much, it just, can you imagine seeing like a bullwinkle that you've never seen before?
For
or
the
a
first
juice.
time. Yeah, he comes walking
Juice
in,
just
and you're like,
comes
I
in.
had no
I
idea
have
that this deer was
The
here.
adrenaline
We
of that
still
would
have
be,
some deer like that.
Yeah, but
I
it's
can
very
name one
rare.
or two that I know that we videoed.
BZ.
That's one.
I had a picture of BZ.
That you think so.
No, I know of. He's the only deer with 13-inch eye guards.
Where'd you get a picture of him? And where's it now?
I'll show it to you.
Why
but
have I never seen it?
You have seen it. Because he doesn't
Oh.
look that big in it. He looks like a 160-some-inch deer.
I also have quite a few deer I could pull up of camera or pictures that would be, okay, if it wasn't for trail cameras, I would never know this deer existed. And there's a lot of those. Like, there's still deer that I've looked at that are freaking monsters that I can never see
Here,
in
I would be
person.
willing to say this. If I think this would happen, if cameras completely went away, you two would kill bigger deer than me every year.
Well, I already know where I'd sit, but I
Do you
don't
know
think,
why
I don't
I
know if a
think that?
camera would make it where I could actually
Because we
do
spend
it.
more time driving around, looking around, scouting, doing
let-
everything. Yeah, no,
Because
for
if I didn't start allocating that time, I'd be at a major disadvantage.
Right.
Because all I'm doing is just taking prior year history of what they've done and then just applying it to the next year.
The one thing that I will say about trail cameras is they have taken our learning curve. They taught us a lot. We've learned a lot about deer, like where they summer, where they winter. And I'm not just talking about a specific deer. I'm talking about deer in general. We've learned a lot. So it would be much easier for me to say now, yeah, take them away and I'll be okay because I kind of have figured that out. Other people wouldn't have that opportunity to learn some of the stuff we've learned. But at the same time, I can just tell you that there's so many times that I have sat in a tree not knowing what is here, and you're on pins and needles. Though every time you hear a crunch, it's like you think it's a juice walking through, or that's just in your head because you're hunting Iowa.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, it was in your head when you were hunting Virginia or Arkansas. They weren't the same caliber, but it was like 130-inch deer might be walking this way because you had no clue what was coming.
Yeah.
Oh, I wonder how you could make some big mistakes too.
For sure.
Like you'd have a deer walk by you that, he's a
You let him go.
165, 70-inch deer, but he doesn't appear that right away, and you're like, man, I don't know, because what could there be? And then he gets a little bit further away, and it's like, oh shit, I screwed up big on that one.
Yeah.
But I think the one that happens more
That
often
would be
than
fun.
that
I'm
is,
putting on the ballot. I vote for it. No cameras.
the one that happens more often is the opposite of what you just said.
They shoot the one.
Here he comes. He's huge. Shoot him and walk up, and they're like, I thought this was a giant deer, and it's not as big as I thought it was. I mean, it just happens.
I feel bad for that. I mean, if you've ever been in that position, I can honestly say I've never done that once, and I've shot some dinks. Some little
I'm
guys.
trying to think.
I'm like,
I've done it. I mean,
I've never
thinking
had
that
one where I
that it
walked
was
up,
a
I was
particular
like,
deer
"Oh,
that
man."
I thought it was. I don't know that I've ever thought I shot, like where we've gotten a message from someone who's like, I just shot Tank. I'm just using a name or something like that. And then they were like, oh, I got over there and it wasn't Tank. It was Tank's son, and he was 40 inches smaller than what they thought it was,
or like 60 to 100 inches smaller.
I don't know about that.
I know about 60.
Yeah, I can think of one.
Yeah, 60 inches
yeah?
smaller than what it would be.
Okay. I know a guy that shot a bear that was
I think it's more
200 pounds smaller than what he thought it was.
70.
Yeah, 60 or I mean, it's up there.
Yeah, that's
you
a
know
lot.
too.
Well, I can't think of it, so
like,
it
it's
doesn't
a
My
matter.
whole nother
closest
really
would be
nice
Hershey.
antler.
Hershey was like, oh man, this freaking turd. I avoided that deer because I knew I'd probably shoot him if he came in.
I don't know that I don't think I've ever had that. But I also have a photographic deer memory. Mom's was the closest, but I thought we were shooting a 3-year-old, but I was aware.
Yeah, who cares? It's mom. It was like, just shoot.
Yeah, and he ended up being 5. So it was perfect. I don't know.
The closest that we've ever come with you would be Juice when he was 2.
Oh,
And-
Juice almost died
you
at
knew he was
130.
Juice, though, right?
I didn't know it was Juice.
You did. You
Not
didn't
at
know
the-
that he was going
after.
to become Juice.
Meaning, Well,
we hadn't named him Juice. Or
yeah, I
nothing.
was gonna say we had named him Juice, and number 2, I didn't know. I just knew it was a decent deer, and he would shoot it. And I was like, and then when he walked out in the field, I'm like, oh, that's one of those 2 8 points that are always together. That was all.
For any of you that don't know, Juice's dad's biggest deer,
Yeah, and
and I almost shot him
at 2 years old,
at like one.
before I
when
killed
he
him at
was like,
5
He's like 120 or 130 as an 8 or something, and
as a young.
I was sleeping.
I'm trying to think of all the deer.
15 or 20 yards. I mean, he was.
Oh, if you'd have been awake,
he
you would have
was
killed
done
him.
for.
I mean, he walked by. Well, he walked by like 12 yards and then just angled quartered away, But I couldn't get him to wake up.
Of all the deer,
That was God.
all
You're
right, here,
welcome.
we got to think about this real quick, though. Of all the deer that we've ever had to hunt or anything, which one do you think that you'd never seen any pictures or anything, he just shows up, would give you the most like wow factor? BG, Bullwinkle, Straight Up, Juice, Splits, any deer that you can think of that if you saw him for the first time that you were going to be like, this deer was an absolute monster.
I have 2 or 3 that pop into my head
Yeah,
that nobody's killed that I know of.
But I'm saying that you got to imagine that you never knew him before, no trail camera pictures.
No, that's what I'm
Okay.
saying. Is ones that we saw.
Yeah. Okay.
One was the quadruple main beam buck.
Yes.
Me
that
and
one
Warren
was
had not known about that deer, and all of a sudden we look out, and I think we both about freaking just fell out of the stand.
Yep.
Jaw dropped, and that took something. That was back in the day when I wasn't like super into hunting. I mean, I was into hunting, but not like I am now. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, Warren, this
Yeah.
is nuts."
We still need that picture to confirm what we saw was real.
Oh, yeah, well, we ended up getting the picture, didn't we?
We had video too.
Oh my gosh, that deer was insane. This is literally quadruple main beam buck. 2 main beams, both sides, freaking monster.
Yep.
And we did not know he existed.
Okay.
I think
The other one was BZ that I didn't know existed until he popped up.
Okay.
And then what was the?
No, he's saying, is there any
Like-
whatever deer that you know of would like freak you out when you saw him?
Yeah, I'm thinking about in the past. I'm thinking I already have those, like ones that we never knew about or anything that freaked me out.
Think of ones we know though. Like what one?
Like if you saw Junior without knowing that Junior we didn't have anything. All of a sudden, he come walking through the trees.
I think
I don't have any.
The biggest to
Juice
me,
would be the only one.
the one the deer the guy killed, the neighbor killed it next to Bullwinkle.
yeah.
That deer I would be like, holy cow, because that deer had mass, he had tine length, he had everything.
I think him or Juice. If I'd never seen Juice and saw that deer walk out as a flipping straight 8 point, I'd have been like, what in the hell is this thing? Because I was thinking about Bullwinkle, but he's big, but he doesn't have the frame. Juice's appearance is just this ungodly amount of antler on top of his head.
He's the only one that would get
Or
me.
Ralph, his biggest year, because I think too he'd have been one where when he does like the head turn thing, that it like just keeps
but
going.
I still don't. He kind of screwed himself with how big his body was. Like Juice had it all.
Juice's body was huge too, though.
I know, but his antlers made sense.
I think if you seen
Ralph's
Ralph on
antlers
his
didn't make
biggest year
sense.
and seen him in person, and I think you'd have been like, "Holy shit!"
But the one you got to throw in there is BG.
No, that's what I was gonna say.
If you didn't know that, if we didn't have any clue that deer, maybe we'd seen him the year before, but not killed him, caught a glimpse of him or whatever, and all of a sudden he walked underneath you without you having a clue that it was him.
Yeah,
he was the.
But if you put BG and you put Juice next to each other,
Juice is making me literally poop my pants.
I think Juice is going to still look bigger.
Oh,
He's going to
yeah.
appear bigger because he's
gonna scare me.
He's just his frame, the amount of rack that he has for. You're talking BG has like what, 15 points or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Juice is 180 with 10.
If I saw BG and Juice walking through the woods, BG would make me feel like, I better be careful because James Bond is in the area. But if I saw Juice walking through the woods, I would be running for my life because Rambo is here. And then I'd be pooping.
The thing that's
left and
interesting
right.
about it, though, you'd have some bubble gut.
Yeah, bubble gut, that's right.
It
Be
may
knocking
be,
on the neighbor's door.
this is where the trail cameras could come back into play, that maybe it hurts you. Because if you'd have seen BG the year before and we didn't have cameras,
You shot him.
oh, we'd have been trying to shoot that deer. There's no way, I don't think, that any of us would have been like,
I wouldn't have
oh,
been
that deer's
passing him
only
ever.
3 years old. We're going to try and pass him. We'd have probably had no clue and been like, he's a tanker. We need to be trying to kill that deer.
I did have one, actually, that we didn't kill. Another one. Ace.
Oh, yeah.
He made me freaking drop my jaw.
Yeah, he's a nice deer, but he
It was
like,
my kind of deer, though. He was perfect. Except he had a broken tine to make him perfect. But he was perfect.
Okay. Do we want to run through kind of a quick rundown of what we're doing this time? We told everyone we were going to bring them up to speed on what was going on right now.
Yeah.
Or do we save that for another podcast? We're going to have more stuff going on.
I think you could save it. I mean, that's probably almost an hour.
I think it's over an hour. Oh, yeah, there you go. I think we're good. We're doing everybody. If you guys hear this, I'll probably have the answer already. But you guys did well last time, especially Jake. If I planted my beans and I did not spray them, they're Roundup Ready. I planted them on, what was that, like
I don't remember.
Thursday or Wednesday last week. And today, I know it's not going to be for you guys, but today is Monday. So 5 days, 4 or 5 days, we have not had rain or anything. Am I going to hurt it by going into spray? Or do I need to spray like Buccaneer Plus, or do I need to go spray like whatever one is okay for beans and will kill everything
I think
else?
you're going to have to call the co-op.
Well, that's what I'm about to go
'cause
do, but I
it's-
would like to
you don't
have
have time.
I would like to have some of them answer.
Yeah.
They'll answer tomorrow. So, yeah. Let me know.
I was excited about sharing with you guys what we did today.
Well, I'm kind of hoping that the
but
next
we'll
time
save
we
it.
do it, we'll have an update on the fields, too.
Maybe. If we get some rain.
Do it
Yeah.
real quick while I find a wacky fact.
I gave you a wacky fact this morning. Blue whale. There's your hint.
I haven't said that one before because it's so boring. Everyone.
Well, here's the thing. I think on the whole trail camera thing is
Thought
here
we
we-
were just going back.
I know we were talking about my whole point is we're talking about getting rid of them, not getting rid of them, public land versus private land. And what am I getting ready to do? I'm getting ready to start setting trail cameras out. So
I have thought about it, and I would not run as many. The main purpose I'm going to try to focus them down to not as many, but more strategic.
Yeah.
We got to run them. And I'm saying us specifically, we make sense. Like whitetail sense and stuff.
Right.
I would prefer to not have to at all. Like if I wanted to go put one here and there kind of
yeah,
thing.
but when you
But
want to
we need
show
to show
someone,
you guys that, speaking of which, for all you podcasters, hopefully you stayed till the end and thought that we needed to hear Warren's wacky fact, because I'm about to tell you something better than that. Ray's scents are back in stock, so not really anybody knows right now. So you podcast guys, if you want to get on it, boom. And my favorite scent is back this year, baby. New and improved. Scrape
Scrape
Addict. Anyways, what have we been? We've been planting for
All
the
right, you want
past
to go ahead
freaking
and
week
share
and a half.
yours?
It's
Your
not
wacky
mine.
fact?
We had a guy send in a wacky fact today that what was it? I think it was a blue whale. A blue whale's tongue weighs close to the size of an elephant.
what?
So he said in the email. Now I did not fact check him, so there's
We
a
cannot
chance I
use
should have
that.
fact checked.
You cannot wacky fact people without a fact. It's not a fact. That's just a theory.
It's not a theory. It could be a fact. I just haven't.
We could be.
established if
Could
it
be
is.
is the problem there.
Don't yell at me. I'm the messenger.
You can't use that.
You gotta turn it on.
You definitely
It
get a
wasn't
man.
mine.
You said it. You went through with it. You did it.
Fine. I'll give it to myself, even though I literally said it wasn't mine.
Joey, please make sure that that's recorded. Thank you.
I'm not allowed to do wacky
Okay,
facts.
we're staying
It's
with
conflict of interest.
with the theme here.
Poop.
Trail
Kidnapping the bride.
Oh.
Roma culture. In Roma culture, it's common for a man to kidnap the woman he wishes to marry with the help of his friends. The groom-to-be abducts his bride and takes her to his home. After negotiations with the bride's family, a wedding celebration ensues.
That's also what the Shroots do.
What's a shroot?
The Office.
Oh, God.
He kidnaps the wife.
I don't know what you're talking
Just
about.
because I got to relate it to The Office. Here you go. What culture?
Roman.
Roma.
Roma? What's that? Not Roman.
Okay, here's another one.
Interesting.
I'm going to guess.
That's so screwed up.
I'm going to
I'll give you your daughter back if you give me 25 acres of land.
kissing tradition.
Well,
this is in Sweden.
Hold on. You do realize that is what marriages were all about when they first
Originally.
started, was that it was not about who you loved. It was about families trading to other families and showing, okay, well, we appreciate you guys, so I'll give you my daughter, or my son, we'll have my son marry your daughter, and then we're linked like this, so we own more ground. Or
Yeah, it was called an arranged marriage.
yeah, it was all of that.
Yeah, I don't think there was nearly as many good purposes for that as what you just made it sound like. I think it was more selfish gain.
Oh, without
It's nothing to do with just, oh, yeah, we really appreciate you. I've got an awesome daughter. Here you go.
I would like to see this happen at an American wedding.
You better be careful, because Alyssa may be listening.
Oh, it wouldn't happen at my wedding, but I would love to see this happen at an American wedding, because it would be absolute anarchy.
Let's hear it.
Kissing tradition, Sweden. At Swedish weddings, if the groom leaves the room, all the male guests are allowed to kiss the bride. And if the bride leaves her seat, the female guests can line up to kiss the groom. This fun tradition is a lighthearted way for guests to interact with the newlyweds.
That is messed up.
Yeah.
Nothing like starting
Swedish
your wedding
people,
day
you
off
guys
with
are flipping
freaking
weirdos.
cheating.
That was definitely
Goodness.
pre-COVID.
You made it a day without cheating. Good job.
Dude,
Or an hour.
I'm just
You made it
seeing-
an hour.
I'm seeing a mosh pit.
Oh, boy.
I'm
An
not-
American wedding, fists are flying.
I'm seeing-
everywhere.
I'm seeing a granny sticking her tongue down the groom's throat.
Oh,
God.
That's nasty.
and with that.
We do have a fact check.
And
Uh-oh.
Nick says we have a fact check on the blue whale, I'm assuming.
A blue whale's tongue is about 4 tons. Their tongue is 18 feet long and can weigh up to 8,000 pounds. The weight of an adult female African elephant.
Really?
So they can
So it's specific, because I thought normal elephants, like males, are over 10,000, aren't they?
still an 8,000-pound tongue.
Oh, no,
close
it's
enough.
It's huge.
The average weight of an American, and I did look this up just to fact check it. An African bush elephant weighs 13,000 pounds.
An African bush elephant weighs 13,000 pounds, but an Indian,
An Asian elephant weighs
An- an
8,800
Asian,
pounds.
an
That
Asian
makes
elephant
sense.
female average weighs about 8,000 pounds.
Yep.
So we are out of here, guys. We appreciate you joining in. The last thing that I will do is a toast to the new groom, the new husband sitting at the table. Warren and Alyssa, congratulations again to everybody. So there we go. We're toasting all of you guys. Hope you guys' wives are watching and they appreciate you as much as we appreciate ours. See you guys.
There's
Agua.
I don't have a wife. I don't have a wife.